So if you are planning to use that money, or if you're just looking for a job on campus, I recommend doing that now, or as soon as the summer starts, because what happens is when the older students, when the returning students come back, they know where to go, and they're either coming
Hmm.
to look back for their last job that they had, or they knew who to contact about another
Hmm.
job on campus. And 2 weeks into the semester, those jobs are gone. So do not
Yep.
wait to apply to any on campus jobs. I would start asking around now. I would say the big ones are the library,
Yep.
um, financial aid is usually a
Hmm.
big one, and depending on how large the university is, that might be a separate office from like the registrar and the bursar or
Hmm.
accounts payable. So again, depending on how big, those might be separate offices or one large office that you're looking for. Academic advising is a huge place.
Hmm.
If there is any sort of student activities, a volunteer office, multicultural
Yep.
affairs, those are all places that you could also ask, um, and just let them know. Some of them will be excited that you're starting early. Others may not, depending on how their office is running. But again, it certainly doesn't hurt to get on their radar to let them know that you're looking for work. I know at my last job, we had a student, and she already had like her schedule set by the time classes started.
Hmm.
So she had been interviewed and like hired and set up her work schedule by the first day of class, and she already.
Wow.
So you gotta hustle with the rest of them to get
Hmm.
those jobs because they go quickly, especially the work study jobs.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and I think my last personal bit of advice is just do all that and stay on top of it, but also enjoy your last couple of weeks of high school, right?
Yeah.
Um, College is a crazy, crazy time, and there's a lot of new stuff happening. So go and enjoy prom, go and enjoy
Hmm.
graduation, whatever senior week activities you have happening. Like, this is the moment. A lot of the heavy stuff for college is done as far as admissions goes. And
Hmm.
there's still some small things that you definitely have to pay attention to, but don't just like, make sure you enjoy these last couple of days with your friends and your family and all the fun stuff that's happening. That would be my suggestion. I don't think I missed any tips. Was trying to think of like all the big steps.
Hmm. No, yeah, those were great. I had a work study job every year I was in school. And
Yeah.
I worked in a registrar's office for the first couple of years of college, and then I worked in accounts payable. And so
Oh,
you're absolutely right. Like most departments are hiring. You just have to ask. And the crazy part is I didn't have like federal work study, but I just went
okay.
around and knocked on some doors with my resume and
Yeah.
asked, were they hiring? And if there's a department on campus that has it in their budget, departmental work study, they have a certain amount of their budget dedicated to paying a student worker, they're going
Yes.
to hire you. So it's worth knocking down some doors and introducing yourself and getting to know people and just asking. The worst they could say is no, we're not hiring right now.
Yeah. Or if you know someone who's either graduating or maybe,
Hmm.
excuse me, maybe leaving their job, in the event that you maybe know some older students there, you could just also ask them and say, like, hey,
Hmm.
who tends to hire the most? I think athletics, if
Yeah.
it's a huge athletics department,
Hmm.
they're always
Hmm.
looking for people, or even just the gym in general, if there's a
Yeah, I was just
gym,
about to say the rec center.
they're always
Yeah.
looking for people to cover because they have an open access gym a lot of times.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say just walk around and just keep asking. Someone always needs help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be your advice as students are kind of going throughout the summer, right? And they have different levels of support. So, of course, there's our first generation students who
Mm-hmm.
have varying levels of support, and parents have varying levels of knowledge about what to do. For a student who has parents who either don't know what to do, or like my parents, even though my mom graduated from college and my dad was in college for a little while, didn't help me a ton with the
Yeah.
enrollment side of it. What would be your advice to them to either A, keep up with everything that they need to do, or B, just kind of problem solve as things come up? Because there'll be a lot of terminology that
Yeah.
they're not familiar with. What would be your advice to those students as they encounter those
So
issues?
my first piece of advice, like I said before, is definitely get used to asking questions,
Hmm.
and not being afraid to advocate for yourself.
Hmm.
Um, because a lot. a lot is missed because students are just afraid to ask the question. Either if it's that they don't understand something or they didn't know. And as you know, I'm sorry, I'm like getting over a cold.
Oh, that's all right.
As you know, administrators are like not concerned whether you know or not know, like if you didn't ask. I think it's very different from high school in that way, in that they're not going to handhold you. They're just going to be like, well, why didn't you ask me if you didn't know? And so definitely get used to asking and asking and asking and continuing to ask. But even if your parents didn't go to college, which I know for many students of color can be a huge thing, there's certainly someone you know that is currently in college or has recently graduated. And so don't be afraid to ask them. I would say if there is anybody at any point, let's say you went to like a new student orientation, or maybe you went to like an admissions event and there was someone that you connected with, reach out to those people, like the people that sort of you think were even remotely nice or seemed friendly or seemed approachable, like reach out to those people and ask. But then also, you know, speak to the very specific departments that you need. And if you haven't made a friend, definitely make a friend in these offices. So like if you haven't made a friend in financial aid, make one so that they remember your face and that you're nice to them, and so that they're more likely to help you in the future. I know that sounds like, you know, you're sucking up, and it's not really that, but it is a means to an end. And the reality is that it's not that you have to necessarily know the right people, but you do have to know the people who are going to be able to get you the information that you need.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to be friends with the president, but do you know someone who has a good connection to the president, or to your professors, or to, you know, the financial aid director, or to, you know, the job that you're looking for. So like, think about it. This is how very early networking starts. Networking is not just amongst your peers. It works upwards too, in creating some pipeline of information for yourself. So again, you don't necessarily have to know the president, but do you know the people who can get you to the people that you need? Yeah, and so I would also say starting early with supporting your network, right? And creating your network early on, and identifying not just the people you get along with, but the people who can help you get things that you need. And that's going to look very different for everybody. And I will also say that, so for many schools, they do have some sort of opportunity program, whether it's a thing like EOP, then that goes by different names, but those are usually state funded. TRIO. So TRIO are federally funded programs. A lot of times for college, you'll hear it as either Student Support Services or the McNair program. If you are in one of those programs, definitely use them. They are an amazing resource. And then schools will have some like institutionally run opportunity programs that they have. If you get into any of those programs, make sure you utilize those services. They are going to be those people that get you to the right person in financial aid, into academic advising, who know a professor that you can do an internship with. So don't be afraid to access those resources. And again, asking those questions, and putting yourself out there that you would in any way, and just letting people know that you're there, what you're capable of, and that more so, I think that you are deserving of their support and assistance. You know, because you don't want to be a student who they've never seen before, and then you're asking for this favor, as opposed to, you know, you come by the office, you say hi, you ask about their day, you know, you maybe had gone to lunch with them, because that's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that you could like go to a campus lunch with a staff member or a faculty member. And this is how you build that. Like, I would say this is how networking happens, and it happens very early on. But you have to be comfortable with taking those first steps and asking those questions and putting yourself out there. And again, always being ready to advocate for yourself. So whether it's a failing grade, or you need more money, or you're looking for a job, like the advocacy is all the same. And so you have to be able to do that. Yeah.
And I also add, if you have a favorite teacher or